I hear them before I see them. Lauren's voice drifts from the garage as I walk down the hallway for more folding chairs. Our dinner guests will arrive in 20 minutes, and we're short on seating. You need to divorce him before you have kids, and get stuck. Brandon's voice, Lauren's brother. I stop. The door is cracked open just enough to see Lauren perched on my workbench, legs crossed, wine glass in hand. Brandon leans against my table saw. Already working on it. Lauren swirls her Cabernet. My lawyer says I can take half his company too. My fingers grip the doorframe. 8 years of marriage crystallize into something sharp and cold in my chest. My body feels suddenly distant, like I'm watching myself from the ceiling. Smart move, Brandon says. No reason to waste any more time with a contractor when you're about to make partner. Lauren laughs. Dad was right. Jake was useful for a while, but I've outgrown him. I retreat silently, retrieve the chairs from the hall closet instead. My hands are steady as I unfold them around the dining table. The nice one Lauren insisted we needed for entertaining her colleagues. The doorbell rings. I adjust my face into a smile and open the door to her parents. Jake. Her mother kisses my cheek. Something smells wonderful. Lauren's favorite lasagna, I say, voice normal. She's been working so hard lately. When Lauren emerges from the garage with Brandon, she slips her arm through mine, kisses my neck like she means it. I wonder how I never noticed the performance before. Dinner unfolds in slow motion. I pour wine, pass bread, answer Richard's condescending questions about my latest construction project. The entire time, I'm calculating. 8 years supporting her through law school. Bar exams. Her first associate position. $128,700 of my money invested in her career, tracked in the spreadsheet I maintained out of habit, not suspicion. Jake managed to land the Westfield contract. Lauren tells her father, squeezing my hand. The gesture once made me feel like we were partners. Now I recognize it for what it is. Ownership, not partnership. Richard nods, unimpressed. Residential work. Solid enough, I suppose. The implied comparison to Lauren's corporate law career hangs in the air. The same comparison that's been made subtly for years. The blue-collar husband who wasn't quite good enough for their daughter, despite building a company that now employs 27 people. I notice how Lauren's attention shifted when her career took off 6 months ago. Weekend brunches with colleagues I wasn't invited to. Late nights at the office. New clothes that weren't for my benefit. The signs were there. I just trusted too completely to see them. After dinner, Lauren's mother compliments the meal. Her father talks about their recent vacation to Italy. Brandon watches me with something like pity. I maintain the conversation, ask appropriate questions, refill drinks. The physical control required to sit across from people plotting against me is exhausting. Later, after they leave, Lauren kisses me and says she's taking a bath. I clean the kitchen, methodically washing each plate, each glass. Only when I hear the water running do I allow myself one moment of truth. I built my business from nothing, I whisper to the empty room. I can rebuild my life the same way. In our home office, I log into our shared computer. Check bank statements, investment accounts, property records, insurance policies. The mental inventory is automatic, an extension of how I approach every construction project. Assess, plan, execute. Our house, my business, our savings, most of which came from my company's profits. The inheritance from my parents that paid off her student loans. All potentially vulnerable. I change my business email password first, then my personal accounts. Back up critical documents to a secure drive. Small, immediate protections while I form a larger strategy. This isn't a marriage ending. It's a business being targeted for hostile takeover. And Lauren doesn't realize that behind the tool belt and calloused hands, she's married to someone who understands strategy better than she does. I close the laptop when I hear the bathroom door open, return to the couch and pretend to watch the game when Lauren appears in her silk robe. Coming to bed? She asks, her smile practiced. Soon, I say, matching her performance with one of my own. This isn't about emotion, it's about justice, and justice requires patience. Lauren's laptop screen bathes our home office in blue light at 2:14 a.m. She fell asleep an hour ago, leaving her computer open on the kitchen counter, something she never does. Her password, our anniversary date, grants me access to a life I thought I knew. The divorce attorney emails date back 3 months. Subject lines like asset division strategy and business valuation requirements Form a timeline of methodical betrayal while I renovated our master bathroom to her specifications. Per our discussion, one email reads, Texas community property law entitles you to 50% of business assets acquired during marriage, regardless of name on ownership documents. My breathing steadies as I scroll, each message confirming what I overheard in the garage. This isn't impulsive, it's strategic. A spreadsheet catches my attention. JW Business Timeline. Lauren has meticulously tracked my company's growth, contracts, equipment purchases. 8 years of my work quantified not as our shared success, but as her potential windfall. Beside my quarterly profits is a column labeled Post-Settlement Projections. I take screenshots, forwarding them to my email before closing the file. A banking folder reveals 12 transfers of varying amounts, $1,200, $1,650, $1,480 to an account I've never seen. The total, $18,400, siphoned in increments, small enough to avoid triggering our joint account notifications. My phone feels heavy in my hand as I call Eric Mills. Despite the hour, he answers on the third ring. Jake, everything okay? His voice is alert, concerned. I need to meet tomorrow. It's about Lauren. A pause. The business vulnerability we discussed last year. Yes. Last year's hypothetical conversation about protecting my company now feels prophetic. My office, 7 a.m. I hang up and return to Lauren's laptop. Her text messages reveal another layer 6 months of conversations with Chase Bennett, her college boyfriend. Married Chase, whose wife thinks he's working late when he's meeting Lauren at the Westin downtown. I miss us. It was always supposed to be you and me. Soon. Just need to finalize things with Jake first. Dad says timing is everything. I scroll back, piecing together a timeline that makes bitter sense. Her renewed interest in our finances. Weekend brunches with colleagues. The strategic affection when she needed signatures on documents. The texts outline a meticulous plan divorce papers, ready to serve after her partner announcement next month. An entire future plotted while sharing my bed. I close the texts and find a folder labeled House. Inside, loan application documents for a $150,000 home equity line of credit submitted 2 days ago to First Texas Bank. My phone pings with a voicemail from earlier today. The bank manager, Mr. Wilson, we're processing your HELOC application. Just need your signature on the final documents your wife dropped off. Please call to schedule an appointment. Lauren's recent suggestion that we refresh the backyard for summer makes sudden calculating sense. As does her unexpected intimacy last weekend the night before. She needed my signature on what she claimed were boring insurance papers. I close the laptop and walk to our bedroom window. Lauren sleeps peacefully, her breathing steady. In the moonlight, she looks like the woman I married 8 years ago, the woman I believed in completely. Texas law is clear I'm facing potential devastation. Lauren could claim half my business, the culmination of 14-hour days and personal guarantees on loans no one else would co-sign. The building I purchased last year, the contracts I've secured for the next 18 months. This betrayal extends beyond Lauren. Her father's voice echoes in recent conversations. You deserve the best, honey. Make sure you get what you're entitled to. His hand on my shoulder at dinner, asking detailed questions about my latest commercial project, not out of respect reconnaissance. My company employs 27 people. Families that depend on paychecks that could be jeopardized by Lauren's expertise in corporate law career, I helped build with every tuition payment, every late night of emotional support through exam periods. Our entire relationship reframes in my mind, not a partnership, a transaction. A calculated investment in her future that included marrying a contractor whose ambition could fund her goals until she outgrew his usefulness. I've misjudged not just her intentions, but her character. The woman who cried in my arms when her first case failed isn't the same person who mapped out taking half my life's work while planning a future with another man. Morning light breaks as I make my first countermove. A call to First Texas Bank. This is Jake Wilson. I need to cancel a home equity line of credit application submitted under my property. Sir, your wife indicated you'd be coming in to sign. The application was submitted without my knowledge or consent. I'm formally requesting cancellation. Documentation of the call joins the growing file of evidence on my secure drive. I stand in our kitchen, weighing options. Confrontation now would be emotionally satisfying, but strategically catastrophic. Lauren's legal mind would immediately shift to damage control, evidence would disappear, and the narrative would transform. I consider whether to confront her immediately, or gather enough evidence to ensure she couldn't twist the narrative. Emotion demanded confrontation. Strategy required patience. The coffee maker hums to life on its automatic timer. Lauren will wake soon, kiss my cheek, and ask about my day's schedule while calculating the most efficient way to dismantle everything I've built. I pour coffee into her favorite mug and prepare for the performance of a lifetime. In the morning, Lauren's lips brush my neck as she slides the lake house invitation across the kitchen counter. Her perfume-y, expensive one she only wears when she wants something clouds the air between us. Dad's opening the lake house early this year, she says, fingers trailing down my arm. Just family. Wouldn't it be nice to get away? I study the embossed card while calculating her angle. The family lake house where her father first explained that marrying just a construction guy was Lauren's youthful mistake. Where her mother keeps referring to my business as my little company, despite its 27 employees. This weekend? I ask, voice neutral. The Westfield proposal is due Monday. Her smile tightens. You work too hard, Jake. We need this. She presses against me, the familiar manipulation that once made me feel desired. Besides, Dad's excited to hear about your business expansion. Of course he is. I'll make it work, I say, wrapping an arm around her waist. Two can perform. Later, after she leaves for work, I discover the mortgage refinance paperwork accidentally left on our bed. The sticky note in her handwriting reads, "For discussion this weekend?" The numbers don't add up literally. The loan amount exceeds our current mortgage by $175,000. I photograph everything before returning it exactly as found. One call to my bank confirms she's been asking questions about our home's equity. Another piece slotting into place. My phone buzzes with a text from Eric, my attorney, and the only person who knows what's happening. News, lunch today? We meet at a food truck park miles from Lauren's firm. Eric arrives with a manila folder and concern etched across his face. Lauren's firm specializes in high-asset divorces, he says without preamble. Their managing partner wrote the book on business valuation disputes in Texas. Literally wrote the textbook. I absorb this while biting into my taco. Tell me something I don't know. They're representing 3 clients currently taking their spouses' businesses in divorce settlements. He slides the folder toward me, including Monica Bennett. The name clicks immediately. Chase Bennett's wife? Eric nods. The firm represents the spouse with fewer assets but potentially greater claim. They're systematic, Jake, and successful. My stomach knots, but my face remains impassive. The Westfield contract, my company's largest potential project, requires complete focus right now. The timing couldn't be worse. There's more, Eric continues. Your business expansion loan? If approved before divorce papers are filed, she could claim half of it too. I consider the interlocking problems while watching a young couple share lunch across the park. They lean toward each other, no space for secrets between them. I remember when Lauren and I sat that close. I need time, I say finally. 3 weeks to secure Westfield and restructure the business. She won't wait forever, Eric warns. She will if she thinks I'm still oblivious, if she thinks there's more to gain by waiting. The sun beats down on my neck as I drive back to the office. My phone rings the banker handling the Westfield bid bond. Good news, Jake. You've secured preliminary approval. One small victory, a foundation to build upon. That evening, Lauren arrives home late, cheeks flushed with wine and success. She drops her briefcase and wraps her arms around me from behind as I cook dinner. I have something to tell you, she whispers, excitement threading her voice. I turn, spatula in hand, expression carefully crafted. I think we should start trying, she says, eyes bright with what looks remarkably like sincerity. For a baby. The spatula nearly slips from my grip. The calculation is breathtaking in its cruelty. Trap me with a child before executing her exit strategy. Ensure maximum financial support after divorce. That's a big decision. I manage. We're not getting any younger, she says, hands sliding beneath my shirt. And I'm making partners soon. The timing is perfect. I kiss her forehead while my mind catalogs this new manipulation. Let's talk about it this weekend at the lake. Living with betrayal requires constant vigilance. Each morning I wake beside her, watching her perform the role of loving wife. Each night I lie awake, listening to her breathing, wondering how I never noticed the hollowness beneath her affection. The emotional toll accumulates like small weights, added one by one until breathing itself becomes labor. 2 days later, an unknown number texts me. Need to talk. About Lauren, Emily. Lauren's sister. We arrange to meet at a coffee shop downtown, while Lauren believes I'm meeting contractors. That day we met after work. Emily looks nothing like her sister softer, with worry lines etched around her eyes. She clutches her coffee cup like a shield. I know about Chase, she says without preamble. I maintain my composure, although my pulse quickens. Chase? Lauren's affair. Her ex from law school. Emily's voice trembles. They were together at the lake house, Memorial Day weekend. I remember that weekend. Lauren had insisted I stay home to finish a bid, said she needed sister time with Emily. She was drunk, Emily continues. Told me everything. How she's waiting until she makes partner, then taking half your assets. Her eyes meet mine. She had it all planned before you even proposed, Jake. Dad convinced her you'd be useful until she established her career. The coffee turns bitter on my tongue. Why are you telling me this now? Emily looks down. My husband filed for divorce last month, found someone younger. Her voice cracks. I watched my sister laughing about doing the same to you, planning it like a business acquisition. She pushes her cup away. I've spent my life going along with my family's calculations. I can't do it anymore. I consider her words carefully. Thank you. That night, I install the recording devices. Texas law allows single-party consent for surveillance in your own home. The mic goes beneath the living room coffee table. The tiny camera faces her desk where she often takes calls. Legal, ethical gray areas, but necessary evidence. Eric provides a contact-retired police detective turned private investigator who specializes in infidelity cases. He'll document everything, Eric assures me. Legally admissible evidence. A day later, I sat across from Monica Bennett in a different coffee shop, Chase's wife, Lauren's firm's client. The woman whose husband is sleeping with my wife, while her attorney tries to take his business. She's thin, exhausted, with anger simmering beneath her composed exterior. I recognize the look. I see it in my mirror every morning. I slide a USB drive across the table. Text messages, photos, everything. Her hands shake as she takes it. Why? Because the truth deserves witnesses. I answer simply. Later, Emily texts me. Dad's bringing his business valuation expert to the lake house this weekend. I respond. Will you be there? Yes. Why? I consider my words carefully. I don't need revenge. I need the truth to speak for itself. Will you be there when it does? Her response comes quickly. Yes. I close my eyes, breathe deeply, and prepare for the lake house weekend. The pieces are moving into position. Lauren doesn't realize that behind my tool belt and calloused hands, she married someone who understands strategy better than she does. On the weekend gathering, I check my watch as the doorbell rings. 6:30 on the dot. Lauren's family has always been punctual when it benefits them. Perfect timing, I say, pulling the front door open with a practiced smile. Come in, Richard, Diane. Lauren's father gives me a firm handshake, eyes already scanning the entryway for signs of our financial status. Diane kisses my cheek, her perfume expensive and suffocating. Jake, the house looks lovely, she says, handing me a bottle of wine that costs more than most of my crew makes in a day. Thanks for coming on such short notice. I take their coats. Lauren was thrilled you could make it for our impromptu business celebration. The fabricated emergency landing the Westfield Heights development contract gave me the perfect excuse to gather everyone. Lauren had been eager to invite her family, seeing an opportunity to showcase her connections to her father. Brandon arrives 5 minutes later with Emily trailing behind him. She meets my eyes for just a moment, her slight nod nearly imperceptible. Congratulations on the contract, Brandon says, clapping my shoulder harder than necessary. Guess even contractors get lucky sometimes. I lead them to the dining room where Lauren fusses over place settings. The table gleams with the china and crystal she insisted we needed for impressing guests like her father. The hidden speaker system I installed last weekend sits ready beneath the credenza. My laptop waits in the study, connected to the dining room television, preloaded with everything I've discovered. Lauren kisses me as I enter, her hand lingering on my arm. I made your favorite whiskey sour, she says, handing me a glass. You deserve it after all your hard work. I take a sip. Perfect as always. In the kitchen, I check the lasagna Lauren's favorite, made exactly how she likes it. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm preparing her favorite meal before dismantling the life she planned to steal from me. As we gather around the table, Richard takes his usual place at the opposite end, mirroring my position as if we're equals negotiating a treaty. Lauren sits to my right, her hand occasionally touching my thigh beneath the table. Jake's company beat out 3 corporate firms for the Westfield project. Lauren tells her father, pride in her voice. So convincing, I almost believe it myself. Richard nods, unimpressed. Residential development. Not a bad way to keep busy. 27 employees now, I say, passing the bread. And the Westfield contract puts us in position for the commercial sector next year. Brandon snorts. Commercial requires a different level of expertise, more education than most contractors have. Speaking of business, Richard says, swirling his wine, proper management is critical for family enterprises. Have you considered bringing someone with financial expertise into your operation, Jake? Lauren squeezes my leg under the table. Dad's just trying to help. He mentored several of the partners at my firm. I notice Emily staring at her plate, discomfort evident in the tightness around her mouth. Actually, Lauren continues, we've been talking about our future plans. The business is doing well enough that we might finally start trying for children. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Maybe look for a larger house, too. The knife I'm using to cut my lasagna pauses momentarily. This is new children as a negotiating tactic. I hadn't anticipated that particular cruelty. Family should always look out for family, Richard says, raising his glass. That's what separates us from the common crowd. I set down my fork. The statement hangs in the air. My cue arrived with perfect timing. I look around the table, at these people plotting to dismantle my life. Would exposing them publicly be justified vengeance or necessary protection? Was this about hurting Lauren or protecting myself? The answer is clear. This isn't about revenge. It's about truth. I stand, lifting my glass. I'd like to propose a toast. The room quiets. To family, to loyalty, and to finally seeing things clearly. I press the remote in my pocket. The dining room lights dim slightly as the television on the wall illuminates. What's this? Lauren asks, her smile faltering. A presentation, I say, about family and loyalty. I press play. Lauren and Brandon's voices fill the room from the recording I made in the garage 3 weeks ago. You need to divorce him before you have kids and get stuck. Already working on it. My lawyer says I can take half his company too. Smart move. No reason to waste any more time with a contractor when you're about to make partner. Dad was right. Jake was useful for a while, but I've outgrown him. Lauren's wine glass slips from her fingers, staining the tablecloth crimson. Jake, I can explain? Please don't interrupt the presentation. I say, my voice steady. We're just getting started. The screen shifts to Lauren's text messages with Chase, her married ex from college. 6 months of messages, selected highlights appearing in neat rows. Jake has no idea. He still thinks we're happy. After the divorce, we can finally be together. His business is worth over $1 million now. I deserve half for putting up with him. Richard stands, face purpling. Turn that off immediately. I'm afraid I can't do that, I say, advancing to the next slide. This part concerns you directly. Financial documents appear records of the $128,700 I invested in Lauren's education and career. The HELOC application she attempted to process without my knowledge. Bank statements showing the secret account she'd been funneling money into. And here's my personal favorite, I continue, clicking to the final slide. My meeting last week with Monica Bennett, Chase's wife. The photo shows Monica and me at a coffee shop, comparing notes and timestamps. Brandon fumbles with his phone, frantically trying to delete messages. Lauren's face has gone from flushed to ashen. You had no right. Actually, I had every right, I say. This is my home, my business, my life you were planning to take. Richard suddenly lunges across the table, sending plates and glasses crashing to the floor. You manipulative bastard. I don't flinch. I think you've mistaken me for your daughter. Lauren stands, mascara tracking down her cheeks. I can explain everything. To your lawyer, I say. Mine already has copies of everything you've seen tonight. Richard points a trembling finger at me. This recording won't hold up in court. Texas is a one-party consent state, I say, but feel free to consult your own attorneys. Emily rises quietly, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I think it's time for everyone to leave, I say, straightening my shoulders. Please don't come back. Lauren reaches for me, desperation replacing calculation. Jake, please, 8 years together has to mean something. I look at her, this stranger wearing my wife's face. It did to me, I say. That's why we're having this conversation instead of you being blindsided by divorce papers. I move toward the door. Now, get out of my house. As they file past me, Lauren pauses. You'll regret this, she whispers. I already regret the 8 years, I answer. But not this. The door closes behind them, and for the first time in weeks, I breathe freely in my own home. Her messages arrive in waves. 52 of them over 3 days, each one calculated to hit a different emotional pressure point. I made one mistake, reads the first text. 8 years together means nothing to you? The 12th. You trapped me. The 27th. Sent at 3:14 a.m. I still love you. The 45th. Arriving as I review blueprints for the Wilson Community Center project. I read each one without responding. The Lauren I thought I knew never existed. This version desperate, manipulative, inragedious, closer to reality than the woman who kissed my neck before her family dinners. Richard calls my 3 largest clients. Only one bothers to tell me. Some lawyer claims your company is facing financial restructuring due to personal issues. Marcus says, told me I should reconsider our contract. Thought you should know. Thank you, I say, making a note to add Marcus to my Christmas list for the next decade. Brandon's approach lacks his father's subtlety. He tells anyone who will listen that Wilson Construction is unstable, that I'm emotionally unhinged. Our supplier calls to check in, concerned about paying for materials in advance. Lauren's final text arrives while I'm reviewing financials with Eric. I made a temporary mistake because I felt trapped in our routine. Give me a chance to make this right. We can still have the family we talked about. Eric raises an eyebrow as my phone buzzes. She's getting desperate. I slide the phone back into my pocket without replying. Let's finish securing the remaining assets. Later that evening, I send my only response. The divorce papers are at your office. Please direct all communication through lawyers. Then, I block her number. The apartment I moved to is small but functional. A bedroom, kitchenette, living area, with space for my drafting table. The property manager recognizes me. Wilson Construction renovated her sister's restaurant last year. She waives the security deposit. Good people deserve good breaks, she says, handing me the keys. I unpack only what I need. Clothes, tools, my grandfather's chess set. The rest stays in storage, memories boxed away until I decide which ones to keep. Eric executes our financial strategy with surgical precision. The business protection plan we implemented means Lauren's claims hit reinforced walls at every turn. My documentation of financial support through her education and career serves as both shield and evidence. She underestimated you, Eric says during our weekly update. They all did. Monica files for divorce from Chase the same week, using the evidence I provided. Unlike Lauren, she thanks me with a simple card. Truth hurts, but lies destroy. Thank you for the truth. Lauren tries public tactics next. A mutual friend mentions she's been telling people I emotionally abused her, that I was controlling. Another says she claims I manipulated her into supporting my failing business with her law degree. I don't engage. The truth doesn't need my defense to remain true. When the settlement meeting arrives, I arrive 15 minutes early. Eric and I review our documentation one final time, though we've prepared so thoroughly it's merely ritual now. Lauren arrives with her father in tow, both wearing expressions of practiced confidence. Her attorney, a senior partner at her firm, carries a leather portfolio that matches Richard's. The coordinated presentation would be impressive if it weren't so transparent. We're prepared to be generous, Lauren begins, considering the circumstances. Eric smiles politely. Before we begin, there's additional evidence Mr. Wilson would like to present. I slide a single flash drive across the table. Her attorney raises an eyebrow but connects it to his laptop. The audio begins playing immediately, Lauren's voice crystal clear. Jake was useful while I needed someone stable to get through law school. She tells Emily in the recording. Dad was right about marrying someone I could outgrow once I established my career. The divorce settlement will set me up nicely. Color drains from Lauren's face as Emily's voice responds, "That's cold even for this family." The recording continues, with Lauren detailing how she strategically married me, knowing I would support her career, planning all along to leave once she made partner. Richard's jaw tightens. The senior partner subtly shifts his chair away from Lauren. Eric takes over, methodically walking through the documentation that nullifies Lauren's claims to my business. The prenuptial agreement she dismissed as standard paperwork. The business formation dates preceding our marriage. The spreadsheet tracking my investments in her education and career. Given Miss Wilson's admitted strategy to use the marriage temporarily for career advancement, combined with the affair with Mr. Bennett, our position is that Mr. Wilson should retain full ownership of his business, with no claims by Miss Wilson. Lauren's eyes dart between her father and her attorney. The realization dawns slowly across her face that her carefully constructed plan has collapsed. She turns to her phone, tapping furiously before setting it down with a sharp exhale. Chase isn't answering, she mutters, barely audible. The settlement we reach is fair but firm. I keep my business intact. Lauren keeps her career and the connections that came with it. The house sells with proceeds split proportionally to our investments. My documented contributions to her education offset any claims to my company's growth. After the papers are signed, Richard lingers in the hallway. For a moment, I think he might threaten me again. Instead, he says, "You should know I pushed her towards someone with better prospects. She was just following my advice." That explains a lot, I tell him. But it doesn't excuse anything. Emily calls that evening to tell me she's started therapy. "I'm breaking the pattern," she says. "What happened to you made me see what our family does to people." I wish her well and mean it. With the settlement finalized, I established the Wilson Construction Scholarship for trade school students, $5,000 annually, to someone building their future with their hands and mind. Something good growing from the wreckage. 1 year later, I stand at the community center construction site, reviewing progress on the donated children's playground. The concrete foundation we poured last week has set perfectly. "Looks solid," a familiar voice says behind me. Monica stands at the edge of the site, hard hat already in place. Her architecture firm is handling the interior designs. "Solid foundations matter," I say. "How have you been?" "Better. I joined a support group for people who were deceived in relationships. It's helping." I nod, understanding the journey. "Healing takes time." "And purpose," she adds, gesturing toward the community center plans. "This is good work." We walk the site together, discussing load-bearing walls and window placements, practical topics with no hidden agendas. As we finish the inspection, she asks, "Do you regret how things turned out?" I consider the question, watching my crew secure steel beams for the second floor. Each movement precise, intentional. Sometimes the most impressive structure you'll ever build is the life you rebuild after someone tries to destroy you, I tell her. "No, I don't regret discovering the truth." She smiles, understanding exactly what I mean.